and welcome to this video about the 8 developments that assist widespread consciousness now. Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Pitstick. To learn more about my training and outreaches, please visit soulproof.com/about. Note, this is not a video about one religious perspective. Rather, it's about 8 inspiring, informative, and empowering developments that make, as the title says, widespread conscious living a practical goal, and quickly. Put another way, much more personal peace, love, and harmony. Wellness for many people is now eminently obtainable. And when enough people achieve that, world peace, peace on a planetary level, will occur relatively quickly, naturally, and easily. The next part I'm going to share will help you understand kind of how I got to this point. As a youth, and I'm talking around ages 8 to 12, I was particularly inspired by 4 parts of our church service. First, the Lord's Prayer, and specifically the line that says, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And again, this is not just about one religion. Stay with me. Second, in the closing benediction, after the service, the minister would say, "May the peace that passes all understanding be in your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." A third part that really stuck with me and still influences me many years later was a hymn called "Bright in the Corner Where You Are," and the title and the words of that hymn still sticks in my head. And finally, a fourth very impressive part of this for me of all that time was the Christmas Eve candlelight service they had. There was a candle on the altar, and then the minister lit a big candle from that. In turn, lit candles of maybe 8 people, and then they would go around and light the little candles we had. Remember, if you ever saw those, it's a little cardboard supposed protector, but you always ended up getting hot wax on your hands. So those were the 4 parts. So regarding the first one, I reasoned that thy kingdom come on earth as is in heaven. I reasoned that heaven on earth was a possible outcome, since it's surely the will of a loving and supportive Creator. Many people pray for that outcome, use that prayer, and some people do what they can to bring that vision into fruition. For the second, about the benediction, I realized even at that young age that the peace that passes all understanding sounded very desirable, comforting, and something that perhaps many people would want. Regarding the "Bright in the Corner Where You Are" song, as mentioned, the words and melody still play in my head often. It's kind of like a mantra. Bright in the corner where you are. And it still motivates me 60 years later. Yeah, sorry for the singing. For the fourth, the candlelight service, the symbolism of that was very powerful and clear. We each are like little lights who can share the big light, the light of God, to all people. But we're all part of that same light. We can share our light with others and remind them of their true nature as we increasingly remember ours. Now, in the past, religious teachings were the primary way that many people learned about ultimate matters. And there certainly were many positive aspects of great religions and spiritual wisdom sources, especially their common thread, what Aldous Huxley termed the perennial philosophy. In addition, many religious, spiritual groups helped others as a part of their loving outreach, love thy neighbor as thyself. However, there are serious downsides to religion and even some spiritual wisdom sources, particularly in the areas of understanding the nature of reality, how to create an optimal earthly experience, dying with dignity, and about the afterlife. Well, fortunately, 8 developments now exist And I might be the only person, I don't know, that put all these together. Maybe that's one of my jobs. But these 8 developments can now help people around the world realize their true nature as eternal beings of consciousness, life force, and energy, to ask for and utilize guidance and assistance from highly evolved energies and source. Highly evolved energies is a secular way to say angels, guides, master teachers. For those with a more religious bent, these 8 developments help people heal old wounds, get more clear, release past information so they can live in the present moment and realize how wonderful life can be, and steps toward that, to create the greatest life they have envisioned, to help others by sharing their greatest gifts, and finally make our world a better place. And again, as a sufficient number of people do this, global change will naturally occur. These magnificently comforting, informative, inspiring, and empowering developments include, first, 2 life and world transformative events envisioned to occur in the autumn of 2025. First, official announcements of definitive scientific proof for life after bodily death. And secondly, public demonstrations of technology that enables binary, that is yes, no, communication with post-material persons. As described in Article 31, what is a post-material person? The so-called deceased are very much alive, well, and active. And that's why Dr. Schwartz and I use the term post-material persons for those who have, quote, passed on. By the way, all the articles I mentioned in this video are free at soulproof.com/articles. 2 categories of post-material persons who can be contacted include, first, your beloved family members and friends, and hopefully later, we hope, pets, but also scientists, and this would be more for group instruction webinars, scientists, educators, leaders, religious teachers, and others who are luminary geniuses and pioneers in their fields while on Earth. Indications from multiple mediums independently are that these members of these luminary post-material persons, and the ones working with the Soul Phone project we call the A-Team, have continued to progress in the next phase of life and want to help people and our planet. These 2 events I mentioned, scientific announcements of scientific proof of life after death and demonstrations of communication technology, are possible only after 25 years of research and development by Gary E. Schwartz, PhD, who's a former professor at Harvard and Yale. Now a professor emeritus at the University of Arizona, Dr. Schwartz directs the Soul Phone project, R&D, research and development, at the Laboratory for Advances in Consciousness and Health. He's assisted by a team of outstanding electrical engineers, software developers, evidential mediums, and the A-Team, about 30 of these post-material luminaries who are helping. Starting in 2016, I directed the Soul Phone Foundation, which was dissolved in early 2025 for good reasons. I've also assisted research and helped shape and implement strategic planning with Dr. Schwartz. I mentioned this development first, the Soul Phone project, because I think this can be the tipping point for enough people that our world finally comes together. The analogy is, one of the analogies is in the movie Ghost with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze, Whoopi Goldberg, and it's worth watching if you haven't for a while, where Demi Moore, who didn't believe that her boyfriend, her beloved boyfriend, had been killed, was really present, saw a penny floating in the air, and a penny was important for them in their relationship. And in that moment, she realized, oh my gosh, this is really true. He is alive and well. He is contacting me. That love continues. Well, we anticipate that those two events, scientific announcements of life after death and public demonstrations of communication technology, will achieve a similar awakening for many people, and that's one of the reasons this could be such a powerful tipping point. So to learn more and watch videos about this project, visit soulproof.org/interviews. The second of the 8 developments is guidance and assistance from highly evolved assistants and the light. The good news, many people don't know it yet, but much scientific, clinical, and experiential evidence indicates that humans receive guidance, assistance, and love from higher energy beings. That's incredibly comforting, inspiring, and empowering news. Now, as mentioned, this can refer to, for people with a less religious bent, as highly evolved energies. And for those with a more religious viewpoint, angels, guides, master teachers, etc. Researchers in the field of survival of consciousness describe the source of this assistance as one mind or cosmic consciousness. However you envision this help, there's good evidence that higher, faster, and more refined energies provide support and guidance, especially when invited to do so. Many people have perceived this assistance firsthand and had firsthand experiences, what we call experiential evidence. Clinical evidence for this level of help has been reported by researchers in the fields of near-death experiences, life between live sessions, and deathbed visions, and sessions with authentic mediums whose abilities to accurately discern specific communications from, quote, deceased persons has been demonstrated in double-blinded studies at 5 different universities and institutes. Again, these evidential mediums commonly report angelic presence and assistance. There has even been some proof of concept scientific exploration about the existence of angels. As discussed in his book, The Sacred Promise, Dr. Gary Schwartz and his team include an angel in at least 2 sets of experiments, and I was involved in one of them. And yeah, the energy, the impact, the measurability, the signal of angels was way above any human we could test. So many people know this highly evolved assistance exists because of their religious faith and first-hand experiences. Well, now you know that clinical and scientific evidence also opens the door to being aware of benefiting from this sublime assistance. So to learn more about this topic, see articles number 13, What is God Really Like? And 73, Angels and Higher Energy Assistance. My free audio program called Ask Your Soul, Angels and the Light helps you better access their wise counsel and guidance. The third of the 8 developments is evidence for the great news. 10 indications about the nature of reality were compiled when Dr. Schwartz and I wrote our book, Greater Reality Living, and these are discussed and listed in article number 19, The Great News. Our view, based on much scientific, clinical, and experiential evidence, is that we live in a totally safe, infinite, which means ever expanding, eternal and supportive cosmos. Now this is true even when it doesn't appear that way, due to our limited sense organs that provide such a nearsighted perspective. The 10 items of the great news are that you and everyone else are beings of consciousness, energy, who still exist after your earthly body dies, that you can interact with, quote, deceased loved ones now and after you pass on. Next, that you are integral, eternal, and beloved parts of source energy, the light, now and always. So many people who come back from near-death experiences say these exact words. We each are one with the one and part of source. The fourth item in the great news is that we can receive, we do receive, it's just a matter of whether we detect it and use it, guidance, assistance, and love from angels, guides, and master teachers. We just talked about that in the prior development. That we each are sacredly interconnected with all people, animals, and nature. That we have special purposes for having this earthly experience now. That we can simultaneously manifest in other space-time realities now and after bodily death. Next, you have everything you need, no matter what your past or current circumstances, to enjoy the greatest life you have envisioned. And I capitalize you when it's in written form to indicate your higher self, your soul, the totality of your being. In other words, this explains why some people go through tough situations and they say, well, surely I didn't want this. Well, their earthly component, their ego, their brain, the part that wants things to be easy, comfortable, and safe, definitely didn't want that. But their soul, their eternal part, the part that knows all this great news and that wants adventures and it wants to learn and grow and serve others, may have chosen that. So that's why I make that distinction. The 9th of the 10 indications of the great news are that you can find peace, joy, meaning, growth, and opportunities for loving service amidst your toughest changes and challenges. And finally, that you create the quality of your afterlife via your predominant thoughts, words, and actions. Now, in addition to the 10 indicators about the nature of reality, the great news, there's also on the horizon being able to use soul phone technology, as we've discussed, to communicate with post-material loved ones and luminaries who stand ready to help all people in our world. They just need a voice. They need a way to communicate a greater quality and quantity of information. Very high degrees of certainty exist about the great news. First, statements 1, 2, and about the Soul Phone Project are based on definitive scientific research at the University of Arizona using controlled, blinded, replicated, and multi-centered studies that were published in peer-reviewed scientific journals. Sorry, I know that's really boring, but that's what's needed to fulfill truly being scientific research. Statement number 2, again, that's about your ability to communicate with your dear ones who have passed on now and after you change worlds, is based on double-blinded laboratory research with results published in papers at 5 universities or institutes. Statements 3 through 10 are based on clinical research by physicians, psychologists, and/or university professors in the fields of near-death experiences, past life memories, perinatal experiences, that is, the time period just before, during, and after human birth, life between lives input, shared death experiences, terminal lucidity cases, and deathbed visions. In addition, experiential evidence, although not validated like scientific and clinical evidence, adds further validity for these indications about how life is set up, the nature of reality. And this category of first-hand experience evidence includes afterlife contacts, out-of-body experiences, electronic voice phenomena, instrumental transcommunication, and other first-hand experiences. To learn more about this development, see article number 19, The Great News. The fourth of the 8 developments is that 4 greater reality programs with evidence-based information and holistic resources have been formed by yours truly in the last 6 months. These programs are free. There's no membership or registration needed. Each one provides information, resources, and support for people to use individually and with groups. Now, the first program is called Greater Reality Healing. Will start hopefully late spring. We're in the process of forming this with virtual meetings and group breakouts in Zoom. And then as soon as possible, as soon as we have people trained, there will be then in-person or local groups in communities eventually around the world. So you can learn about the meeting dates, the times, the Zoom numbers in free newsletters at soulproof.com and soulphone.org. Videos for these programs are available now at the Soulproof and soulphone.org websites under the top tab Greater Reality Programs. So for each of these 4 programs I'm about to describe, there's an audio for them, an article for them, videos for them, and then eventually meetings. And to be clear, the 8 developments are at the core of these 4 programs. This is what makes these programs viable, that is, practically achievable. So the first one's called the Greater Reality Living Program. As described in article number 72, Greater Reality Living, this program can help you deeply know and show the great news that we just discussed in every aspect of your life. In other words, it's one thing to know it intellectually, but when you really deeply internalize it and live accordingly, that's when the magic occurs. Dr. Schwartz and I designed the Lives formula to help you better understand the nature of reality and your integral role in it as you the L in Lives, learn the evidence for the great news. I internalize this information about how life is really set up versus how we've been taught in the past, much of which is wrong. The V in the Lives acronym stands for Vitalize and Balance Yourself Holistically. E stands for Enjoy the Greatest Life You Have Envisioned. And S, Serve Others and Make Our World a Better Place. The second program is called Greater Reality Healing. This program assists people to optimally grieve after any perceived loss. We use the word shifts and change because it turns out everything is a dance of energy. Nothing could be lost, certainly not love and life. And so when people realize this, even a little bit, that allows them to find and share the silver linings, find the blessings that always accompany adversity. After working with the Helping Parents Heal group for 11 years, I created this program that uses higher energy thoughts, words, and actions throughout. Healing and positively transforming is assisted by, again, finding the silver linings to adversity, sharing them with others, using them to transform your life. Now, this can sound like so many words, but when you see this happen with parents who have had 1 or more children pass, one mom had all 5, people who have been paralyzed, women who have been raped, people who have lost their health and their independence, and other challenges, you realize it's possible. And I've interviewed, I've worked with, I've learned from these people over the last 50 plus years. So I know how they do it, and I can share that with you through this program. So this path, Greater Reality Healing, is described in article number 82, and the subtitle for it is Journeying from Deeply Grieving to Brightly Shining. The third program, called Greater Reality Helping, as pie in the sky as it might sound, it's really possible to greatly help yourself, others, in our world. And part of the formula is remembering who you really are, why you're here, and who walks beside you always. So this program has 11 keys that allow you to transmute lower energies, pain, anger, guilt, sadness, etc., from past physical, emotional, and or mental wounds into higher ones that help all people and our planet. Those include peace, joy, love, gratitude, enthusiasm, enlightenment, etc. So doing that can help you remember about the big picture of life, and it's all great news, and live accordingly. So to learn more about this program, see article number 119, Greater Reality Helping Yourself, Others, and Our World. And finally, the fourth program, called Greater Reality Sharing, is for forward-thinking individuals who really get the magnificent ramifications of the Soul Phone Project for themselves, others, and the world. It's also visionary thought leaders in all fields: religion, education, leadership, law, healthcare, business, philosophy, entertainment, etc. So our goal is to facilitate positive paradigm shifts before the official announcements and demonstrations. Why do we want to do this? Because we would like a majority of people worldwide to have a more high energy reaction, that is neutral or better, versus negative ones, which would be anger to closed-minded skepticism. In other words, there's going to be a paradigm shift after the two events I've been mentioning: announcements of scientific proof of life after death and public demonstrations of communication technology that shows that and shows what will be possible in the future. There will be a wide range of reactions to that, and we want to help engender as many positive ones as possible and work in this greater reality sharing program with other individuals to help do that in their frame of influence, congregants in their church, members in their business, etc. So to learn more about this program, see article number 122, Greater Reality Sharing. The fifth of the 8 developments is that many stellar organizations exist to assist widespread conscious living. And I think it's more, what is needed is for them to collaborate, communicate, work together. Their high energy outreaches can, especially again when collaborating with others, help create much more peace, joy, and harmony on earth. As described in article number 72, the following groups have been great assistance to me, but keep in mind that what helped me the most was no doubt influenced by a number of factors, including my Lutheran church upbringing, attending Methodist theological school, and what I needed at the time, the state of my body, mind, and spirit points. I'm not saying these work for everyone, but this is what worked for me. First of all, a number of what I consider to be more enlightened Christian churches and spiritual centers, which include the Unity Church of Christianity, the Unitarian Universalist Group, United Church of Christ, UCC, Centers for Spiritual Living, and spiritualist churches. Other religions that were very helpful for me and spiritual wisdom sources include Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Sufism, Native American, and other indigenous spiritual groups. And organizations listed in alphabetical order include the Academy for the Advancement of Post-Materialist Sciences, co-founded by Dr. Gary Schwartz, the Club of Budapest, also known as the Laszlo Institute, with Irvin Laszlo, Essentia Foundation, Eternia, Evolutionary Leaders, which is also considered Source of Synergy Foundation, Gaia, the Galileo Commission, HeartMath Institute, Helping Parents Heal, which I mentioned, Humanities Team, started by Neil Donald Walsh, the Institute of Noetic Sciences, the International Association of Near-Death Studies, Seek Reality, the soulphone.org, the Soul Phone Project, soulproof.com, and the Shift Network. So again, so much energy, information, assistance from these groups. And that's why it's another development that allows the goal of all this, widespread conscious living. The sixth development is that wise and inspirational information and resources are not widely available. You realize in the past, esoteric information about spiritual enlightenment and holistic healing was only known to a select few. Now, the internet shares this information quickly and inexpensively. However, of course, you need to use discernment about what what is most accurate, and also not to get sidetracked, like going down a rabbit hole and you realize you spent hours on some social media. Having said that, each of the organizations and groups listed above provide much information and resources from top experts about wellness, consciousness, nature of the afterlife, world peace, and more. Now, speaking for myself, because I have made everything free, there's so much information, resources, products that are available, and I want everyone worldwide to have access to them. So this will allow people to awaken to their true nature, heal and transform no matter what's happened in the past, create an optimal earthly experience, help others, and make our world a better place. So you can visit my website, soulproof.com, and gain the following free resources. First, 8 ebooks called Radiant Wellness, Soul Proof, The 11 Questions, Greater Reality Living, The Big Picture of Life, The Afterlife Evidence, Ask the Soul Doctor, and most recently, Shining Light Parents Speak. Also 10 free audio programs. They're entitled Holistic Breathing, Afterlife Contact Technique, Ask Your Soul, Angels in the Light, Pre-Birth Planning, Identify and Fulfill Your Purposes and Enjoy Your Greatest Life, Your Life Review, How to Appreciate, Realize, and Transform, How to Love, Accept, and Forgive Yourself and Others, Past Life Regressions, and Heal and Transform Your Suffering. Also, 4 of my books are available as audio books. And then I have 125 as of today, which is March 21st, 2025, 125 free articles answering the most commonly asked questions and providing holistic solutions for your toughest challenges. There are 25 free radio shows featuring my interviews. I had hosted 2 different radio shows with experts on consciousness, afterlife, and creating an optimal earthly experience. And guests included people like Wayne Dyer, Brian Weiss, Anita Moorjani, Raymond Moody, Michael Newton, Carolyn Mace, and others. There are numerous videos on different pages throughout this website. And finally, free monthly newsletters. Just sign up at the bottom of any of the pages. Now, the soulphone.org website also includes free articles, videos, and newsletters. And instead of payment for all those free resources, I ask that you fully use and appreciate them, share them with others, and help others in ways you feel called, that is, pay it forward. All right, the 7th development, and we're almost done, are that there are several large groups of people who have awakened to the big picture of life. And I consider that these 4 will also really be driving this goal of widespread conscious living. That is personal and planetary wellness, peace, joy, etc. And here are 4 that I consider especially hope-inspiring. First, near-death experiencers. As discussed in article number 92, near-death experiencers are those who have clinically died and sometimes encountered the light. They saw more of the greater reality, the big picture of life, and how wonderfully life is set up. And then they return to Earth, sometimes at least, with profound and lasting upgrades to their thoughts, beliefs, words, and actions. Millennia ago, Plato had a general who had a near-death experience, and in his wisdom, he recommended that leaders in the future come from the ranks of people who have had a near-death experience, who had seen the light, and that's a remarkably wise vision for that era, 3,500 years ago. The second group that I consider to be stellar are what we call shining light parents. So these are bereaved parents, such as those in the Helping Parents Heal organization, who know their kids are alive and well. They stay alert for signs and visits from their children and develop different but very meaningful relationships with them. And the resulting heightened energy empowers them to take a higher path as they choose to find and share silver linings. This positive focus creates more meaning to their child's life, it honors the child, and it helps others. And they're some of the most joyful, peaceful, and loving activists, powerful, empowered people I've had the honor to know and work with. So to learn more about them, visit helpingparentsheal.org. A third group I want to highlight are what we call spiritually transformative experiences. I know it's a mouthful, but these people who have had spiritually transformative experiences, they became aware of the magnificence of reality after encountering one or more triggers, and these can vary widely. For example, after a near-death experience, that's one of the triggers. They could have a shared crossing, as when they're present with a loved one who passed. You have a religious revelation. There could be a sublime moment in nature, a beautiful musical note. There are all kinds of different triggers. They range so widely, again, that it's obvious that the truth is the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So to learn more about these, visit article number 17, Spiritually Transformative Experiences. And finally, a group I call the 15 percenters. This is my term for the percentage of humans who embody intermediate to advanced levels of soul or consciousness, energy. This percentage is based on data from the clinical research area by Michael Newton, PhD, called Life Between Lives work. And this is, he said, approximately 12% intermediate souls, 2 to 3% at more advanced souls on Earth at this time. And these more advanced people, souls, want to share their greatest gifts. And when they do, their life improves markedly. But when they don't, they experience malaise, depression, boredom, a creative discontent until they remember who they are, why they're here, and who walks beside them always. So you can see article number 98, Life Between Lives, and 117, Are You a More Evolved Soul?, to learn more about these topics. And the last of the 8 developments are visionary leaders in all fields who understand that humanity is a crossroads and we can do something about it. We can make positive changes. I've been fortunate enough to meet many of these open-minded and open-hearted thought leaders who are ready to make a difference in their respective fields. The organizations I listed above were started by, in many cases, one person who wanted to make a difference. And we're looking for those, as I mentioned in the Greater Reality Sharing program, we're looking for those to help share this great news with others, especially about the Soul Phone Project. Last year I was describing that project to a group of about 600 people on a webinar, and during an hour of Q&A afterwards, an astute rabbi asked how she could help her congregants, how she could tell them and other rabbis so they were optimally prepared for the inevitable changes ahead. And that was music to my ears because she got it. She saw that that was going to be needed. And so that's why this 8th group, leaders of religions and all groups, will recognize the sacred and historic nature of this moment and help take the lead. So all of this, the Soul Phone Project, highly evolved assistants, angels, guides, the great news, Greater Reality Living programs, the 20 or so stellar organizations, the evidence-based information and resources, awakened activists, and visionary leaders will have profound benefits for many people and our planet. Thank you for doing your part and helping this vision become a reality. Let it shine.